There's always more to the story. Join your hosts, Dr. Eric Shaw, prosecutor Ryan Frank, writer Adrian Bonenberger, and comedian Ryan Connor as they follow up on the most recent episode of Baggage. This is Carry On.
Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. I don't know, a couple months ago, we had a Carry On episode. We couldn't even record because we couldn't get everybody together. Similar situation, both Ryan Connor and Adrian have very good reasons that they could not be here for this, but Eric and I are here and have a little bit of follow-up from our last episode with Dr. Susan Ryan, who ER doctor that also very heavily involved with Canine Companions as a member of the board, and shared some stories about equine therapy and service dog therapy, and had a very big response from that. Very popular episode. And Eric, actually, after that episode, I guess it was after it aired. Yeah, you ended up visiting with her, didn't you?
I did. It was great. I went down to the main hospital that she works out in Denver, Rose, and I got to meet Peppy. She was doing exactly what I expected her to do. She was napping on a patient bed in the hallway there by the nurse station. Anyone that came up, and everybody came up, she would immediately roll over, wanted belly rubs. I got some pictures with Dr. Ryan and her and myself and Peppy here. It was a fantastic experience there. It was so nice to see a working dog in their environment doing their thing. And she really did just bring a kind of sense of calm and comfort to the whole ER there. And it was just funny how many people came by to say hi. And it was EMS provider after EMS provider, doc after doc, tech after tech. Everybody wanted to come say hi. For good or for bad, Dr. Ryan was just kind of along for the ride. Pepe was definitely the star of the show there.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. You got to see it in action. Yeah, we'll put some of those pictures on online so people can check it out. Yeah, we actually, and during that episode, what didn't make it in the episode was a little bit of a blooper. We were recording, and all of a sudden started hearing a beeping coming over the microphones, and we didn't know what it was at first, but then eventually we figured it out. And rather than trying to explain it, because Ryan is not here, so I will just let him explain it, and here it is.
To shut all that down, because there he is, our senior colleague.
Did he leave his stove on or something?
Yes, I believe Ryan's apartment might be on fire.
Oh my God.
That appeared to be a smoke alarm.
He did take his dog. I saw that.
I thought that was me with feedback, but I think
no, it sounded like a smoke alarm.
I think that was a smoke alarm. So if you can time it right, Ryan, you're allowed to ask questions.
Well, it smells like there's an active fire in my house, and the fire, I don't know if you can hear the fire alarm going off, the mic's cutting it, but we had a carbon monoxide leak that was actually about 2 weeks in my house. Luckily, we had windows open, and where our the owner of the house just kept saying, it's probably a dead animal in the vents, and just kept he got a second and a third opinion. So now we finally have a new furnace, and we're still alive, and hopefully there's no long-term damage, but we just ran out. I grabbed my dog and I was like, the house is on fire. and Luis, who's doing the HVAC, he goes, no, it's fine. It'll just be like 5 minutes. It's burning off all the dust from the past couple of days. And so that's what's happened on my end. Unfortunately, I missed the meat of your story because I thought we were all going to die.
So yeah, luckily Ryan made it out of that okay, and we were able to go on with the show.
One of the things that Dr. Ryan touched on, and I made a slight comment on in the episode, was how well she described PTSD. In particular with her, like, I think it was kind of a accumulated trauma that she didn't necessarily see happening, and it was other people that started to kind of comment on her behavior about it. And I've always described it to many people almost as the frog in boiling water. You don't necessarily see it happening until it's kind of gotten on top of you. But her ways of describing it were so much more eloquent than in my episodes about, it's kind of a numbness. Your emotions kind of get deep fried where things don't hit like they're supposed to. And people, she was describing her friend saying like, oh, you're kind of an asshole when you come off your shifts. And it's not that you're an asshole or not that you can't feel, but in those moments, you just don't. things that should be emotionally charged, and that's happy things and sad things, just don't register like they should. And you can very frequently come off as kind of apathetic or cold or weird. And she really summed that up, I think, nicely, in a prettier way than I could have. And I think that's something that's missing, because I think so many people think about PTSD as like the movies and the veteran that's crying in their sleep or things like that. And those things happen. Don't get me wrong, those things happen. But I think there's many of us walking around with this like collective trauma that we built up over the years, and it is this just numbing aspect of it. And I really feel that that's important for people to understand when they're dealing with people with stressful jobs or people that might have PTSD, that it's not that they don't care, or it's not that they aren't listening, but their system is so overloaded that it doesn't register the same with them. So I think that was worth kind of touching on there, because she did such a better job of it than I did.
It makes you wonder how much of the population is living in that space and just not even contemplating that PTSD, and they experience something that they wouldn't even consider PTSD. And that they just think that's their personality, when in fact there could be a root source to it, and an improvement, but they wouldn't even know how to not know to address it.
They just kind of tie it in with their daily life, their paradigm, like I did when I was younger, where it's just like, oh yeah, you're supposed to feel that, you're supposed to be this way. This is how professional healthcare providers are. You don't feel, and that packing down, that kind of chronic blunting of it is just not healthy.
Yeah. Or, I mean, change the profession too, He's been a cop on the street for 20 years, and he's just a gruff dude, just an emotional and, not good bedside manner kind of stuff, or a CPS worker or whatever, is that they just been doing it for so long. They just don't even, again, the boiling frog scenario, don't even know they're in it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I loved her maturity in the way that she addressed it too. Doing the animal therapy is so amazing. And I really need to investigate this further in my area, because I know I have some friends that work with equine therapy stuff, and there's mountains of evidence behind it, that how beneficial it is. And obviously with her, just anecdotally, like how life-changing it was for her to get involved with that on a personal and then ultimately professional level. Just what a great coping mechanism. We talked about this before, just the levels of maturity of coping mechanisms, and for her to do something truly altruistic and continue with her own self-care, I think was a great kind of tie-in. But there are just mountains of literature about the benefits of various animal therapies, whether it's equine or canine. I'm not sure if she talked about this. This was interesting too, but she mentioned to me with their dogs, they have had to change some of their protocols, the way they train them with the veterans, because the veterans do tend to have a little bit more problematic behaviors with their PTSD. And these are ones where they're having a flashback, and the dogs were trained to try to comfort them. And many of the veterans were basically like hurting the dogs and like choking them out or striking the dog when they were having moments. And so they've had to train the dog to kind of like sit back or even bite the veteran.
Oh, wow.
Not hard, but just
like
to try to like
kind of thing.
Yeah, to be like, I'm not a victim in this, and also to like kind of save themselves. I thought that was really interesting. I would never have imagined that being a problem.
God, the level of training involved in that has to be amazing. Oh, I ended up watching that movie where they were featured, the Inside the Mind of a Dog. Fascinating. It's on Netflix. It's narrated by Rob Lowe, I think. Yeah, it's really good. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. Certainly, if you like animals, it's really fascinating. Just I just know the science of dogs, the science of animals is pretty incredible. But they're heavily featured in that as kind of like a test case of for a lot of working with universities to train dogs and what they're capable of.
Dr. Ryan is definitely the perfect ambassador for this type of program, to have her medical knowledge, to be able to speak that language, and also have the connection she does to help to promote that program and integrate it in as much as she has. Like, she is truly the perfect ambassador for that program.
I mean, it's got me thinking again, like, we haven't had a service dog in our office in a while, and I still don't know if it's practical, but we should probably take a second look at that, especially if there's a resource like that potentially would give you a service animal. You could have to, it's the same exchange I was talking about in the podcast. You have to have someone that can go somewhere and do the training for 2 weeks and then be the handler and be available with the dog. But I mean, what an incredible resource. Just to give it away is I'm glad to know those kind of organizations are out there. And I think
Hey, if Susan can do it in a ER, why can't you do it in a working court system? Like,
it's the handler.
I'm sure
it's the handler.
No, but you be the handler.
Yeah, but the thing is that her dog, no, because I can't have a dog in the courtroom. I have to have permission. You have to file a motion.
I'm sure you could find a judge or two that everybody loves a dog.
I'm sure you can just walk into the court with a dog. No, you have to.
What is this?
No. Oh my God. How amazing would that be? I just have like Lassie next to me the whole time, and the defense is just looking like he's super guilty, and I just have this nice puppy I'm just petting. Ladies and gentlemen, please find him guilty. You okay?
The dog occasionally looks over at the defendant and just like barks menacingly. Stares.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. He's been trained to sense guilty. So yeah,
there's stress hormones and stuff like that. I've heard dogs can smell all sorts of things.
Yeah.
you can sense their guilt.
Right. He barks when you're lying. I just have him. Defendant's on the stand. No. But it is the logistical thing though of like, okay, who can be pulled out of their normal thing that they have to do, and on any given day go and sit in this conference room with this victim and the prosecutor for 2 to 3 hours. It's just, there's not a lot of flexibility. It has to be a certain position that has that flexibility, and it's just you got to find the person that is willing, able, and right now it's staffing. I don't think we could even do it with the people we have. We're so stretched thin. Everyone is. So it's a resource issue. But it's nice to know that one of the limitations will not be potentially money for finding a dog. There's a place like Canine Companions out there.
Our office dog today, Bindi, she's still very much a puppy. I don't even, she's even a year old yet. She typically has a squeaky toy or two around the office, and they're annoying enough, just that eek, 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 eek kind of noise. One of our MAs bought her a new pig squeaky toy, which makes a noise instead of a squeak, squeak, squeak noise. I'm not sure which one is worse, but it was something new and awful sounding all day long. And Bindi's mother continued to take it away, and yet people kept giving it back to her throughout the day. I'm pretty sure that squeaker is going to get ripped out within the next day or two because my office managers can't handle that new noise. It really is an awful sounding thing.
On the whole, though, an office dog, what a cool idea, man. That's so neat. Did I mention this in the episode that my kid's dentist has a dog? Yeah, it's this little pug with like the tongue hanging out and all that, and it's super cute. And I've seen him walking whenever I take the kids in. I've seen him like walking around like, oh, hi, and they say hi to the dog or whatever. But he just roams around in the office. Well, then I saw him being used because, a door is half open or something like that. And there's a kid laying down doing probably something a little bit more invasive. And the dog is just laying on the kid's chest. And I was like, that is amazing. And the kid was perfectly still, just holding the dog as the dog's on the chest. It's not just a fun pet dog. Like this appeared to be an actual service dog. But that is just amazing. I was like, what a really thoughtful way of making it just so much easier on kids to deal with a potentially scary situation.
Yeah,
cool.
For sure.
So
I would love, my dogs they are highly trained. They are hunting dogs, and they are trained to hunt, find, flush, and then retrieve birds. And they're pretty good at that. Anything else, they are fucking worthless, particularly my newest dog. And it is truly my wife's dog. It loves her more than anything else. And like the rest of us get kind of like some secondary love, but that thing is one of the most pathetic creatures I've ever seen. And it really, it actually looks like the alien from Aliens. And she doesn't listen, so she'll never know this. But it's shiny black, and it has like these like little white teeth that are always kind of coming out. And I keep waiting for like a little jaw to like jut out from it. But it is just the most pathetic creature. It doesn't even like try. It has no pride whatsoever. Whereas my other dog, my old dog, definitely has some like pride in herself and won't give you the time of day some days. But like my new one, Polly, is just a really pathetic creature of a house dog.
Well, I like our dog. Atlas is he's a probably 80-pound chocolate lab, and great for home protection because he's got a big bark, so everyone feels a lot safer. Now, if they knew that, the one and only time he came face to face with a black bear, probably about 20 feet away from him, he didn't notice it, just kept going, just walked right by. But he was very, very scared of a rock and started barking in that rock's face. This is within a couple hours of each other. He's attacking the rock and completely ignores the black bear. Why me and my wife are like, I think the bear is going to eat the dog because clearly Atlas is going to go after this bear. And nope, bear kept walking, dog kept walking. Never couldn't care less.
That is the perfect summation of a chocolate lab.
Mm-hmm.
They're just kind of a special stupid that you can't really define well. My buddy Charlie has a chocolate lab, Kona, who is also just special stupid. And we will dog sit for her occasionally. And she did this for the first, she still has trouble with the dog door. It is something that she's been to our house easily 10 times. And the dog door is always kind of a challenge for her. Yeah. So she will stick her head out the dog door and then kind of like get frozen in herself of like not sure where to go or what to do. And she just kind of looks around very nervously and then can't figure out how to back out either. And will just kind of stand there stuck halfway in and halfway out of the dog door, not knowing what to do.
Yep, that's Atlas. We never had to put up baby gates or anything. Because if we just put like a broom across the floor, he would just stare at it like, I don't know. He just look at you like so sad, like, I don't know what to do. I can't get in the room. And it's like, oh my, yeah, poor kid. We sleep on the second floor, so now I got to carry him upstairs every night. He's getting a little older. I don't know. Actually, I don't know if he's getting older at his joints or he's just like, this idiot over here is going to carry me if I just stand here long enough. And he's just used to it now, and I carry him to bed every night. So
now I'm not sure if it's dumb or just bravado or what it was, but when my first dog Henny, the older one, was younger, I was out grouse hunting. And a moose came out into the field that we were in, and she was extremely interested in the moose. And I was like, he is not your friend. You do not want to go say hi to that thing. And it came booking through the field kind of across from us. And I had to hold her back, but she wanted to go chasing the moose too. And I was like, dear God, that will not end well.
You know, my brother-in-law, he had that Malamute that took down that deer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's right.
He's in the mountains.
Solomon, right?
That's right. It passed away a few years ago.
He was a good dog.
Yeah. But now he would go out hiking with him, and he ran ahead one day, and it was a small deer, a little doe or something like that away from its mom, and took down the deer. That is a not far removed from a wolf, that animal right there.
He was a big boy. That was a big dog.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's too big. That's too big of a dog for me. That's too much to manage. I think my next dog, what am I kidding? Who am I kidding? I think our next dog's probably going to be a lab again.
I think everyone, they get into the breed that they like, and then that's what they get for the rest of their life there.
It's just so good with young kids. Like they can just hang on his ears and he just looks at you like, please make him stop. Like he won't do anything. There's no reaction. Like he's just the sweetest dog.
We got burned. Our first dog was a boxer and he was a wonderful dog. I think you met him, Foster. Mm-hmm. The problem with him, and vets call boxers tumor factories. And he died young. He was only like 8 or 9 years old when he passed away. And we were like, we want a healthier breed of dog. And I moved out here and was doing the bird hunting stuff. So we ended up getting the German short hair pointers, and they're a unique breed of dog. Any hunt dog has some issues. They're usually hyper intelligent, but they're also a little crazy, and that's a really good description of a German short hair pointer. And mine, particularly old dog, is on the calmer side for this breed because they can be completely spastic,
right?
And they're ones that like you must exercise them or bad things happen.
Yep.
But they're really smart. They're really good with kids. We've had a great experience now. It's our second GSP. We'll probably get more.
Yeah, I think that was our number 2. If we didn't get a lab, it would be a German short-haired pointer. But it's the energy level. We just wouldn't be responsible enough. It wouldn't be fair to the dog. We cannot exercise a dog as often as that dog would need to be exercised.
When the weather is warm, we have a great big open space dog park by us. On a good week, we'll get the dogs out there 3 to 4 times a week for a 3 to 4 mile hike, mm-hmm. And we humans are walking 3 to 4 miles. I don't know how many miles they're doing because they're quartering. They're out there, particularly in the summer when the birds are out. They're doing their job, so they're back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So they're probably walking anywhere from like 7 to 8 miles.
Yeah, and loving it.
And they love every minute of it.
What a good life.
God, if I could be reincarnated, it would be as a house dog in modern society.
Yeah.
I was reading. It's interesting that Susan brought this up, that they are specifically breeding the dogs to be more docile and more affectionate. And they're basically what it comes down to is like the amount of like oxytocin these dogs are producing in their head so that they want to be petted. But I was reading a neat article that we are evolving dogs faster than anything else in like history because we are changing the way that we treat dogs. And this is actually more in the last 20 to 30 years. Prior to this, like dogs weren't house dogs. They were a tool, or they had a job, and most of them didn't even live in the house. That's a kind of a new thing. And now, not only do they live in the house, but they are sometimes more important to people than other people. And this trend has changed fundamentally how dogs behave, and it's also changed the breeding and things that we're looking for in dogs to make them more not malleable, but more passive and more affectionate. And so it is rapidly changing the evolution of dogs. I just found that was fascinating. And because their lives are so much shorter than ours, as a species, they would technically evolve faster as we put genetic pressure on them.
Right. And that's what's I'm going to talk about this with only a fraction of the education as I should have talking on the subject, but that's why dogs are so unique. That why dogs as a domesticated animal are unique is that genetically, I don't know if it's they mutate more frequently or their genes are very, very malleable. So that's why you have dogs that look so
we're
different.
Pushing them.
Right.
We're pushing
but
that evolutionary factor.
Sure, but they also have that capability. You could do science experiments with fruit flies and mess with their genes, and like specifically try to mess with their genes, but you're still going to end up with a fruit fly. You could mess with a couple generations of a dog and have almost a completely different looking animal that is physically different looking, and it's pervasive throughout like the attitude and capabilities. They're just their genes are very malleable through breeding. So within a few generations, you can get some big results.
If you want a neat watch, and there's several documentaries about this, there's a Russian fox study that they've been doing for decades. And it's the same concept of what we've done with dogs, but they did it with foxes. And what they did was they took the nicest, most affectionate ones and they bred them with the nicest, most affectionate ones. And they got nicer, and it also changed the phenotype. And they started to look more and more like dogs.
Wow.
And so they started to get like floppy ears, some of the white around their neck, and like a lot of their features, their hair was softer. A lot of the features changed. And then conversely, they took the nastiest ones and bred them with the nastiest ones. And they got meaner and meaner and uglier. Their hair was frizzy and they were like snarly looking and everything. And so like they created these almost two separate, not species, but like breeds of foxes over the course of like 10 to 15 years. And it was, obviously this is what we've done with dogs to an extreme when you have like a Malamute and then you got a pug, what you can do phenotypically, but now we're doing it much more personality wise. I think that's so cool and a little bit scary.
Yeah, I think from a science point of view, it's pretty fascinating. But hopefully, scientists use their powers for good, I guess. I don't know what the lesson is from that.
To tie things together with our mental health stuff and the dogs, it's amazing how as humans we can become so codependent on a dog. Talking about the office dog and the dog helping with like victims and things like that. But just when my wife and I's first dog Foster got sick and we knew that we had to put him down, we had all these, of course it was at Christmas time, not that there's ever a good time for this, but we had all these conversations about, what we were going to do afterwards. And, we'd wait several months or probably wait till after New Year's and try to find another dog. And just an aside before this too, like on a day or two before Christmas, our neighbors had a party and my wife didn't want to come. She was too bummed out with what was going on with Foster. And I was like, I'm going to go and be social. And I went over there and my neighbor made these like, what I can only call like a Christmas martini. I don't know what was in it, but it was like, tastes like a pancake in a cup. And it was like all alcohol. And I had like two of those, came home, pulled Foster up into the bed. And I sobbed. There's nothing more pathetic than a grown man sobbing, but I was just sobbing with him.
That's fine.
In old Yeller kind of style. But then when he passed, when we had to put him down on Christmas Eve. And as we left the vet's office, we're both just like bawling and we're like, we need a new dog right now. We had a new dog within like 2 weeks. Yeah. Like there's just something that a void that they fill. And as much as I love my children and I hope that they love me, they're not half as happy or excited to see me as my dogs are when I get home.
Yeah.
There's something kind of little nod to your ego or something.
There's that famous line or whatever is like, they're a part of your life. You're their entire life. Like you mean everything to them. You are the sun, the moon, and everything, and they let you know it. So anyway, it was nice to have kind of tie in the animal side of things and a little bit kind of like a brighter story with Dr. Ryan. So we appreciate her coming on. Eric, unless you have anything else, we'll see everybody next time.
Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
Music for Baggage provided by Quincy Ledbetter. You can find his stuff at qledbetter.com. Graphics provided by Megan Weaver. You can find her at meganweaverart.com. Special thanks to our premium members for their support. You can become a premium member by clicking subscribe in your Apple Podcast app or by visiting thebaggagepodcast.com/support to sign up or to gift a membership to someone. A percentage of all proceeds go to charity. If you have any questions, comments, or a good story to share, please email us at thebaggagepodcast@gmail.com.